than it should.
Well, he won the toss against Federer and elected to serve right away, and it certainly did him the power of good in that match. And he lost his serve once, and that in the third set.
Well, after a wonderful first couple of points, he got himself into trouble there, but the big serve, as it did so often against Federer, helps him out of a little hole, and he holds.
Yes, overhitting on the first serve mainly, almost as if the wind's with him. It's difficult really to gauge the wind here. We know it's an easterly wind, in other words it's blowing towards the umpire. When it's blowing behind the umpire towards the court, it seems to do the opposite thing down at court level. So who knows?
Primarily over the last week, it's come from the far side. It's coming towards the main camera.
On court, that's right.
Yeah. But it is a swirling wind, so you're never totally sure. Really super play. Yes, Nishikori slipped, and it probably was crucial, but didn't he set the point up well?
Absolutely, and he gives himself the opportunity with his good footwork, Cilic, of playing either that shot, which is his preferred shot, but we've already seen him play the sort of David Ferrer shot, where he hits back to the right-hander's forehand from the left court.
Huge pressure on both guys, of course, but you'd imagine there's a little bit more pressure on this guy. Camera's been with him. I remember at Eastbourne, I think it was 5 years ago, he had a camera on him the whole time. They brought a camera crew over to Japan for every single match, before, after. He was never on his own. You can imagine over each succeeding year it's got more and more intense. He'll be very aware of the responsibility he has here. Two introverts.
30 over.
That's Barbara earlier on, we're talking about how shy this guy is, and Cilic is of the same ilk. Physically very different, but mentally not too different. And there'll be very few histrionics on court for however long this match takes. And that'll make him feel a whole lot better.
Yes, what he tends to do and has done so well throughout the tournament is win points behind his second serve, and of course it's not done with great serving. It's done because he plays so well off the ground and is so intent on retaining his serve that he wins those points on second serve. Cilic has got to try and hammer returns when he faces the second serve.
Talked about Nishikori, the 2 4.25-hour matches he had leading up to the Djokovic match, which in a way was perhaps even more brutal He's had an extra day to recover from what he would have normally now with the Monday final. If it was a Sunday final, wow, very, very tricky for him. Do you think that's a decent point for him?
I think it's absolutely fair comment, yes. One of the French, of course, Michael Chang, his greatest claim to fame. Yes, I thought Nishikori would lose to Wawrinka because of his long match against Raonic. I thought he would lose to Djokovic, partly because of 2 long matches. Also, I just figured Djokovic was a better player. So it's been remarkable by the Japanese.
Croatians here as well as everywhere else. It's interesting that a lot of empty seats at the moment. The crowd still to arrive, about 15,000 in, something like that. Welcome back. You're watching the final of the US Open. Nishikori of Japan, Cilic of Croatia. Serve so far. Continues to impress the amount of cloud around. Champion, of course, in 2001. I think Max was right. I don't think that even Ivanisevic has added tennis-wise too much to Cilic's game, but mentally, I think he's instilled some belief there.
And good to have that sort of successful support, as it were. Ivanisevic, not only the winner of Wimbledon as a wild card, but 3 times before a finalist, of course, at Wimbledon. Funny enough, in '96, both he and Chang were in the semi-finals here.
That was the wind. Just seemed to move a little bit there.
40-15.
Gorgeous shot, perhaps the best shot so far. A year ago, this man wasn't allowed to play. He had a 9-month ban for illegal substance abuse. Glucose tablets that he unwittingly bought. He felt aggrieved. He took it to the Court of Arbitration, and the 9-month sentence was reduced to 4. And, late last year, he started preparing the life back on the circuit. And it seems to me that in that time, that's the moment that he's really instilled this self-belief, with the help of Goran, of course. He's a different personality now. Before, he had the reputation of someone who would let winning opportunities slip by. Well, he obviously isn't doing that now. And like anyone who has a long layoff, whether it's injury or what happened to Marin, sometimes that makes you appreciate exactly how much you love the sport.
Not only the appreciation, but I think it gives you time to take stock and think. Otherwise, you're on the tour week in and week out. Tournament after tournament, you almost haven't got time to stop and think. And of course, you come back with that extra determination, which all of which Cilic has revealed.
He's starting to get his serve together now. I think 134 might be his quickest serve of the tournament. Certainly didn't serve any quicker against Federer. And a love service game. Cilic is in the groove, and that's bad news for Nishikori at the moment. But no breaks. Croat leads 3 games to 2.
Right away, and perhaps he's got over the early nerves. We could see him breathing heavily, as was Nishikori, taking deep breaths. Well, here's an opportunity again. Nishikori, of course, earlier in his first game down love 30.
He did well there, Cilic. He had to deal with a miss hit. Even though it looked very inviting, often they can be trickier than they look.
Yes, landing nice and short. And Cilic, although is such a big man at 1.98 m, is really very good at moving around to play this forehand. His footwork has been quite outstanding. Change of pace by Cilic. That slice backhand of his is very effective as well.
So 3 break points. Cilic, he doesn't have a massive serve to get him out of trouble. He's going to have to earn these break points. Just missing the boat here.
Yes, one quite startling fact, and even Isovic might recognize that, is that Nishikori's saved his serve 76% of the time. And generally he's in the 50s.
Strange miss, and there's the break for Cilic. Very patient there.
Yes, whether it was tentative or whether he just figured Cilic that the pressure was on Nishikori, Nishikori seemed to be dealing with the straightforward shots. Once he went to that slice, kept it very low. Nishikori trying to change his pattern, just blocking it back and missing it. Clever play by Cilic. On 11 straight points on serve as the Croat.
We've majored so much on the mental side of how improved he is, and maybe a lot of help from Ivanisevic, but the physical side too, I think, is just as important. As you say, he is faster. I think his upper body is stronger. Says he's 82, 83 kilos in his stats, but I think it's a good 5-6 kilos heavier than that. He's a very big man now, and not just a very tall man. I'm surprised he's challenging that though.
Yeah, looked just out.
Second service.
Because he's an imposing figure now, mentally strong. Physically fierce competitor. Present really from Nishikori, gratefully received.
30-15.
That won't crack it.
And a good bit of variety from Cilic, because we've seen him play the into-out to the Nishikori backhand. Gets the mid-court ball here and just thunders it cross-court. Nishikori, I would think, expecting it to his backhand. Her first serves in this game, Nishikori's got to take advantage.
That's a great shot.
Phenomenal shot.
I thought the backhand from Nishikori was going to be good enough.
Absolutely.
Near sideline. The ball was called.
Well, there's a challenge, but it did seem into us. Look at the stretch that Cilic makes.
Got the line all right.
Terrific shot.
40-15. Nishikori has 2 challenges remaining.
Almost a Djokovic-like stretch.
Cilic's serve hitting the heights at the end there after, as we were musing during the interval, about Nishikori. He hasn't played his best, that's for sure. Cilic has been on court through the tournament only under a couple of hours more. But of course, with Nishikori, the big, intense matches, mental and physical, were all the last 3.
Yeah, it's a matter of just how bruised not only the body but the mind is. And particularly if Cilic keeps up this outstanding play.
Just bring the ball in, guys.
Cilic, after his marathon 4 hours and 13 minutes against Seymour, was up against Burdick, the number 6 seed, and Federer, the number 2 seed. But they weren't contests, to be honest. He flicked them aside.
Yeah. Yeah, I got Burdick on a pretty windy day. It's been windy so often here. And Burdick, notoriously not a lover of the wind. But Cilic mastered it.
They're all the same.
So the balls, you going to carry on with them? Are they all flat? Yeah, looks like they are.
New balls, of course. after the 7 games. But if they're flat, they're no use. Not a good advertisement.
So eventually, the right ammunition, it's Nishikori at 2-5. Trying to get himself going, but he's finding it tricky. Well played. But he did look a little tired, Nishikori. And the follow-up to that shot, first time I've seen it, it's a glorious strike there. That's a shot that will make anyone look tired.
30-all.
Well, he's displaying the whole array here, isn't he, Cilic? We've seen the cross-court, we've seen the backhand slice, we've seen the forehand into out, we've seen the cross-court forehand, and now the wonderful down the line. Keeps Nishikori guessing.
Never seems to get her down on himself, Cilic, even when he plays shots like that. Now, Nishikori is not looking for the beans, you have to say. He holds there and forces Cilic to serve out for set number 1. But maybe Nishikori is one of those players, not like Djokovic and Marin, who look tighter than they actually are. They wouldn't have given him a prayer going into the 3rd set against Djokovic. Length from both players, but finally from Cilic.
Yeah, missed on the 18th stroke of the rally, the longest so far. Again, mixing him up, keeping Nishikori guessing. Got to watch those slices because the ball keeps fairly low on these courts.
So good. And the wind was gusting there.
Little curse from Nishikori because he felt he'd hit a pretty good shot, and of course he did. But Cilic's wingspan, long arms, able to cut the ball cross court.
So 3 set points from Marin Cilic of Croatia. going to challenge, and this will be very close. You can see he was walking to his chair. Don't think there's much in this.
It's a little wide, isn't it?
Second service.
Too much power. That's been the story really through the first set. He's mixed it up well, but his game at the moment looks too big for an under